So why would we feel better planning a vacation than actually going on the vacation? What? That really defeats the purpose of trying to get away from the stress, the overwhelm, the strain. But yet, this is what studies show time and time again, that the 3 to 6 weeks before you take a vacation, you actually feel better about the vacation than when you're on the vacation itself. No, what evil madness is this? Well, I'm going to explain it to you. See, there's a mindset known as fantasy. And when you're in fantasy through daydreaming or maybe doing certain things in excess, like watching TV or reading books or daydreaming or playing video games, when you're in that fantasy set, your system, and when I say system, it's not just your nervous system, it is all parts of you, mental, emotional, and physical. So your system gets to relax and be at ease. There's really no pressure on it. Unfortunately, we will engage in these activities in a way that's unhealthy, and engaging in them in a passive way actually puts us in a mildly depressed state. So you're in fantasy thinking about all the wonderful things that you can do on vacation. And it allows your system to calm, to get away from just a little bit what's causing pain in your life. But you don't bring that back to reality with you. So we have fantasy mindset. We also have progress mindset. And what's achieved in one doesn't necessarily transfer over to the other. So you daydream about all the things that could happen on vacation, but then it turns into reality. You actually go on vacation and you're still taking that focus that is absolutely fried, those emotions that are overwhelming and flooding, and the physical exhaustion and irritation to the point to where you can't calm down. You're vibrating. You take that on vacation. And by the time your system really begins to reset, vacation's over with. And then you go back to work and you tell everybody you need a vacation from your vacation. We need to upgrade this right now. By the way, if this is your first time engaging with me, Dawn Landrum, I'm a certified hypnotist as well as an instructor, and I show you how to stop the self-sabotage, discover what you really want, and create the life you desire. And your summer of success starts now. See, we have goals year-round, things that we want to experience maybe in our finances or with our fitness, in our relationships, our careers, our hobbies, just how we engage and enjoy life. But how you approach those goals is going to be different based on the emotional vibration at that time. Now, why is emotion so important? The part of you that runs all of your experiences and situations and habits and patterns is known as your subconscious. And your subconscious has to have an energy source. That energy source is your emotional states. But your subconscious also has to go by a law, like creates like. When you plant tomato seeds, you get tomatoes. When you plant overwhelming stress and emotional flooding, you get exhaustion and feeling like you're treading water and you can barely keep up with everything. So we want to make sure that what we're nurturing and nourishing our subconscious with is actually what it's going to be able to use to sustain our success. Yes, to achieve it, and then to sustain it, to make success sticky. And this time of year, it's a different emotional vibration than the beginning of the year. The beginning of the year, it's, oh, we've got goals, we've got resolutions, we're going to make them happen. Same way with August and September, the back to school, what is it that I need to know? But right now, the emotional vibe is one of summer. And I don't want you to have to wait till you go on vacation for you to feel better at the very end. And it wasn't enough, or living in fantasy world that never translates over to your physical reality. I want you to feel great starting now. And you can continue to carry that to whatever experience or situation you find yourself in. So that way, when life does get challenging, when problems do show up, you're going to feel calm, collected, poised, and ready to turn that obstacle into an opportunity for your success. Okay, there's 6 steps to this. I want to go in depth on step number 1 for you. And here's the formula for step number 1 of your summer of success. In setting goals and actually beginning to get them, who do you need to be in order to get your goals? Emotional state plus motivator times story equals flow fulfillment. Okay, I'm going to go back over that again. Emotional state plus motivator times story equals flow fulfillment. We all have feelings. They're like waves on the ocean. They wash up on the beach and then they wash back out. But an emotional state is more encompassing. An emotional state is, what are you choosing to focus on? How do you choose to feel about it? And what actions will you take? Now, when we look at different emotions, at first we were told that there were 6 categories of emotions. And then behavioral science came along and said, oh, there's 27. And then someone came along and said there's 40. And then someone came along and said there are over 700 different emotional experiences that you can have. So I want you to think about an emotional state, not just a feeling, but a state that you'd like to experience for the next 3 to 4 months. One of our biggest problems can be is that we allow our emotions to choose us, and then we base our actions on those emotions. And so if we're getting chosen by anything that's painful, then our actions are going to be, what do we need to do to get away from that pain? And your subconscious only has 2 speeds: progress or amplification, or getting away from pain or avoidance. And if you're trying to get away from pain, if that's the reason why you're taking the vacation, and you're not looking at your entire summer can be one that absolutely fills you up. If all you're trying to do is get away from the stress, tension, and strain, then your subconscious is actually turned on to find even more things to get away from. It's known as your RAS, your reticular activating system. And it has 4 levels: what's painful, what's threatening. But then once that's resolved, it can say, oh, what do we value? And what's unique about us in making this happen? I want you to operate in those 2 as much as possible. So your emotional state, what do you want to choose? Now, remember how I said there's up to 700 if that's who you want to follow. What's interesting is, say out of that 700, you experience 10, because that's typically what happens. It's the 10 that you were taught to experience. Over 80% of who we are as an adult was learned by age 8. So you've got 10, the majority of them you were taught to experience by your first family. And then maybe you added on 1 or 2 as you got older. But science tells us that out of that 10, 8 are negative and 2 are progress. Notice how I don't say positive. Subconscious doesn't think in terms of negative and positive. It thinks of negative and progress. See, this way, even if you're feeling uncomfortable, agitated, irritated, you can still use those emotions for your benefit. and move into a better quality life. Okay. So your emotional state plus your motivator. Now, there are what I like to call 5 motivators, and here's an easy way to remember them. Put your hand on a piece of paper and trace around it. Now, if you're in the US, we would do this around Thanksgiving when we were kids in school, making turkeys. But it's a great way to remember what motivates you. And so the head of the turkey is status. It's the thumb. Now, a healthy way to look at status is to say, I need to compare, but I'm going to compare my progress to where I was yesterday. Because remember how I said the subconscious is going, oh, what do you want to focus on? Your subconscious does not judge if it's painful or progress producing. It just says, what do you want more of? Whatever you're focusing on, that's what I'm going to give to you. And there are a few of you right now that are getting one heck of an aha because you've been focusing on the problems that you've been having in your life instead of where's the progress? How can I use this instead of being used by it? Okay, so you have status because the subconscious doesn't know if something is small or large, if it's progress filled or painful filled, unless it compares it to something else. There must be comparison. Now, we will use status in an unhealthy way to compare ourselves against others to say, oh gosh, I'm not as good as that. Or, oh, whew, yeah, I'm better than that. If you're going to compare yourself against someone else, compare against someone who has something that appeals to you. And then tell your powerful mind, you want to find all the ways to have it for yourself. That you have a value that can be fuller expressed. There's more of your uniqueness to bring out. And you do that by looking at others and then modeling what it is that they're experiencing, but in your own way. So if you're going to use the law of comparison, do it that way. So we have status. Are we up or are we down? You want to find all the ways that you can be up. Then the index finger. The index finger is control. You can point that at somebody else. You can point it at yourself. You can point it at your higher power. But wherever you point it is where you're putting the power. Now, the law of polarity says everything is created as a whole. These all have functional, healthy sides, and they also have dysfunctional sides that will hold us back. So if you're pointing it at someone else, going, you need to do this in order for me to be okay, then what you're really expressing is that you need to draw boundaries. And boundaries, well, they need consequences. Because a lot of times when you point your finger at somebody else saying, this is what you need to do, and then they don't do it, there's no price for them to pay. You wind up paying the price. So it wasn't really a boundary. It was a hope, a wish, and a dream off of what's known as deferred hope, which is fantasy thinking. Okay. So you can point at others and go, hey, I do need you to do this. I need your assistance, but always have within your mind, what are you going to do if they don't follow through, if it doesn't turn out the way you want it? Then you can be pointing at yourself. Now, a lot of times we'll point at ourselves when things don't work out. And we're like, what in the heck is wrong with me? Why does this keep screwing up? Now, the subconscious does not judge and say, oh, she wants an answer that's functional and healthy and moves her forward. No, it just answers the way it was presented. And if you're like, why does things keep freaking up? Your subconscious will go, well, because you're a freak up. There we go. Keep in mind, the subconscious is programmed and conditioned to answer questions. I mean, it's the way that you got promoted through school. You answered enough questions correctly and you got promoted to the next level. Can happen the same way in life, in business, your career, with others. So the subconscious wants to give you answers, but you've got to give it a quality questions. If you want better answers, ask better questions. How can I use this? If I'm going to point the finger at myself, what is valuable about this experience? What is unique about me, and how I can use it? What is it? Is it oysters that produce pearls? And they do that by getting aggravated by a piece of sand. Well, your aggravation can be producing pearls of wisdom, but you got to be able to answer the questions or ask the questions in a way that the subconscious answers it for progress. Okay. And you can point it at your higher power, your control at your higher power. And you can say, why aren't you doing this? You can say, I'm depending on you and it's not coming through. And instead, maybe we should be asking, as far as, did I miss a step? Was there something that Spirit gave me internal guidance on that maybe I haven't completed yet? Is my timing out of sorts? So yes, you can look to a higher power for answers, but answers that are going to empower you, not have you in a codependent spiritual relationship. Okay. Middle finger. Middle finger is freedom. How do you know when someone's taking your freedom away? Yeah, flip them off. So your middle finger, expression of freedom, is done by fuller expression of you. Are you bringing your best self to the experience? Now, I will tell you right now, sometimes my best self is a bitch, because there are some people in the world that can only hear me drawing a boundary whenever I turn into that. I had somebody get a little too close to me at a park the other day, and I brought out the bitch to let him know, no, you're not coming any closer. What the freak is this? Okay. So that was still fuller expression in a healthy way. Don't think it's always, oh, unicorns farting glitter rainbows. No. So are you bringing your skill sets, your strengths, your capacities, your talents to the experience in a way to where you can actually move in to progress? Think of yourself as a masterpiece, because it's been found to experience true freedom, it's typically through the arts. Think of yourself as a masterpiece that you're designing and refining and then bringing to the world. Or you can say everybody needs to freak off and stay stuck in dysfunctional control and find that your status is one down and it seems like everybody else is up. Your ring finger. Your ring finger is all about relationships. This is where you're being motivated because there's something that you want to do for someone that is very close to you. There's what's known as levels of engagement. The top level is the partnership that you have with your higher power. The next level down is the partnership with yourself. And then the level after that, the next two levels after that are family or friends that you have like family, or for some of us, it's our pets are in that level. So your ring finger is where you're motivated because somebody very close to you is going to get the benefit of your achievement. You want to share it with them in a very special way. And then the final one, the pinky finger, this stands for what's true. Think of, when you were a kid, you wanted to be able to trust someone. Pinky swear. So it's what's true and trustworthy and fair and justice. This has also been found that if you rely too much on this one, it's the biggest predictor of how neurotic you're going to be, because people are going to disappoint you. Not everybody is trustworthy. Life isn't always fair and just. So it's okay to say, I'm going to discover the truth about this and what I can trust. And then I'm going to apply that to one of the other 4 motivators. So these motivators can be indicative of your why. People say, why do you want to achieve something? Well, because I want to be able to have a status that just blows me away, the control that I have in my life, the freedom, the relationships that are benefiting from this. And I am finding more truth about myself and what I can accomplish than ever before. But you want to pick just one for right now. Now I'm going to go back to the emotional state. The emotional state you want to pick for 3 to 4 weeks, typically around 21 days. Now, if you pick an emotional state and you're like, that just doesn't seem to be a good fit after 24 to 72 hours, because 72 hours, we can be doing resets, then pick a different one. But if you make a second choice, decide to be disciplined and stay with it. Discover more about you instead of bouncing around going, no, that's not it. That's a way you self-sabotage. Now, I said emotional state plus motivator times story. There needs to be a backstory to your emotional state. So what are some stories that you love? Maybe it's a movie, the Star Wars and all of that franchise, or it's one of the Marvel comics, or there's a story of an author, their personal story that you just seem to resonate with, or a great work of literature in the past. What's the story? Because your subconscious does not use language. That's for your conscious mind. Your subconscious uses metaphors and symbols, and those show up in the stories. And you have anything you have a relationship with because you've experienced it again and again, you have a repeated story around it. Now, I'm going to use myself as an example going through all 3. My emotional state that I decided I wanted to pick for the next 3 weeks was luxury. Yeah, I wanted to experience more of that in my life. And notice we're not even getting to the goals yet. Those are step number 6. This is what lays the foundation for the flow of those goals to come to you. You're turning on your RAS. So I'm turning on my RAS to say, what are all the ways that I can experience luxury in my life right now? Oh, I don't want to have to wait till I get to the goal. There are things I have that I've become habituated to that I can have a deeper appreciation and recognition for by choosing my emotional state. Remember, it's a focus, it's a feeling, and it's an action. But that just didn't seem to fit well with me, luxury. So I did a very simple Google search and looked up synonyms. And there was one that stuck out because of the story. And it was milk and honey. And I'll get to the story in just a moment. Yeah, milk and honey. In fact, I actually, a couple of weeks ago, bought some body wash that was milk and honey, very luxurious, and how it makes your skin feel. I was already priming myself without realizing it. So milk and honey. Now, my motivator that I chose, that's a pretty big one for me consistently, is freedom. I want to feel like I have choices for fuller expression and discovering even more about myself. And then times the story. Well, I happen to be a Christian. So a lot of my stories come from the Bible. And the story about the Jews being released from Egypt after being enslaved for over 400 years. Oh, there's that freedom. But if we don't tell, that the symbolism on this is so poignant. If we don't tell our subconscious where to go after it's been free from something, it wants to go back to what it's familiar with. Some people call it a comfort zone. There's nothing comfortable about exchanging one bad habit, one bad experience, one bad pattern, one bad relationship for another. So, freedom, we have to be told where to go. And they were told that there was a land of milk and honey, that it was their promised land. But they were also told that there were giants, there were obstacles that they were going to face, trying to possess what was already theirs. But that if they would listen to wise counsel and follow the direction that they were given, they'd be able to defeat those giants and take what is rightfully theirs. Well, they decided not to listen to it and wandered around and for 40 years. No, I'm ready to take direction. I listen to my higher spirit, my higher self. I listen to my mentors. Now, I'll take it and I'll qualify it, but it's, you pick people who know more than you do, and then you use that to have a better quality life. So that's my story, that I have a land of milk and honey, that moving into it, I'm going to experience even more freedom than ever before, that there are some obstacles, there are some giants that I'm going to encounter, but I've already been guaranteed the win if I follow the directions. That is the foundation for my goal getting this summer. Now, what about you? What foundation of flow, what foundation of fulfillment are you going to choose for yourself? And yes, this emotional state, it's good for about 3 weeks, and then you're going to pick another one that's going to be fuller expression that you want to discover even more about as you discover ways that you can bring it about. Now, I said this is just one of 6 steps, and you can access all of this plus 8 other additional trainings and 3 bonus hypnosis sessions to make success faster, quicker, and easier for you. You can find all of that at dawnlandrum.com and click on the tab that says Summer of Success course. Oh, and I almost forgot to tell you the best part. You have a savings right now of 25% off the course, or if you choose to take the course and work with me privately over the summer, you can save 25% on that also. So go to dawnlandrum.com, click on Summer of Success, choose which one of those options is the best for you. And when you get to the checkout page, it'll ask you for a coupon code. Just put in 25, apply, and get your 25% savings. I want to make it as easy as possible for you to say yes to your next level of success.